Welcome to Shamanism, Metaphysics, and Grace. I'm Lauren Hubele, and today I'm interviewing astrologer Jyoti Wind about the astrology updates for August. Jyoti, welcome.
Thank you, Lauren.
I see,
There's a few.
yeah, there's a long list, and we're all already feeling all the feels. So please shed some light.
Okay, well, I'd like to start with the new moon that was yesterday. It was the sun and moon in Leo for a new moon, and it's exactly squaring the planet Uranus. So, in my astro updates that I've sent out here and there, it's always expect the unexpected when it's something with the planet Uranus. Uranus rules freedom, it rules choice, it rules, in a sense, our authenticity and our integrity. But it's really about freedom and the freedom to choose and the freedom to change. It's the changer, and it's saying, what all of a sudden pops up out of nowhere and says, this isn't working, or this needs to be tweaked a little bit, or I need major room to move here. And I'm going to make some major changes. And then that person who suddenly feels they need to make major changes is like the stone in the pond, and the ripple out effect affects everyone around them. But they are the changer.
This is really important, Jyoti. I think that's worth repeating. So, someone's going to feel that rise up within them to make big changes, but their change will affect everyone around them.
Absolutely. Absolutely, because we're all part of the whole anyway. And uh, the planet Uranus, I mean, this is not a person's chart. This is a chart for all of us, a
Right.
collective chart, you could say. And so, with the sun and moon together as a new moon, a new cycle, and squaring the planet Uranus, it's pushing the collective to look at change and the individual. It's the microcosm and the macrocosm. So as each person is pushed to look at things and reevaluate, reassess, or just be struck like a lightning bolt, like, I've got to do this differently, this doesn't work anymore, then they become that for other people that maybe aren't quite hearing it, that maybe aren't quite ready to make that big a leap, or need a little more time to feel the effects of this new moon.
So
You
they would
know, it's
be an act, they would be a source of inspiration for them.
absolutely, and also a catalyst.
Mm, mhm.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So I want to remind us that Venus is retrograde in Leo, and it goes direct on September 3rd. And this is about our heart's desire. And Venus is right next to the sun and moon, about 5 degrees away. And so it's part and parcel of what's happening here in this, what the message of the new moon, let's say, is. And so it also is squaring the planet Uranus by 5 degrees, so not as close as the sun and moon, but is also asking you to look at, your authenticity, your honesty. Where do you show up, with all of your parts, not just pieces of yourself? And how are you getting maybe more clarity suddenly because of the planet Uranus? How are you getting more clarity on what your heart's desire really is at this point in your life? With all the chaos and everything else that's going on, that we as a cycle of humanity, or a wave of humanity is, entering this huge cycle. We've been in it for, well, since we were born, but a couple of years now, and it's going to get more intense, I think, as Pluto comes back into Aquarius next spring. And for 20 years roughly, we will be looking at other things than what we've been looking at over the past, let's say, 15 years. And so there's bigger cycles than our own personal cycles, but sometimes they dovetail,
Sure.
as you and I both know. And, that these cycles that are big sometimes become very personal at the same time. And so, while these larger waves are happening, we have our own personal things that all of a sudden are up for us or on the table or doors of opportunity opening for us to step through.
Mm.
Which leads me into the Mercury cycle. So Mercury entered its shadow. I have a cheat sheet here. Mercury entered its shadow for this next retrograde cycle on August 4th. So we've been in this for a while, where we're starting to look at, with Mercury and Virgo, how are we analyzing things? How are we taking things apart? How are we seeing where we're going to go as it turns retrograde, which will be on the 23rd, at roughly 2 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time, 1:59 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time. And then we'll go into this period of several weeks where we're really looking deeply, analyzing, taking things apart, looking at our health, looking at our own healing process, because it's Virgo, looking at where we want to tweak things and come to a more perfect consensus, or a more perfect place to settle, and decisions and opinions of what we've been okay with up until now. And then Mercury will go direct on September 15th at 2:21 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time, and we'll be emerging out of that deeper perusal of our own values and priorities, and beginning to find ways of setting them in motion and finding places for that maybe new information or
Mm.
new ways of doing things.
It's really beautiful how it all fits together, because we have this impact of Venus, asking us what our heart's desire is, and we begin contemplating what we really want. And then this new moon comes in and gives us that invitation to strike out, do something different, grab your freedom, make change. And then we pull back in and take a look deeper inside, in what else can I be doing to heal and promote my own growth.
Yes, absolutely. Well said, Lauren. Yes.
I've had a good teacher, Jyoti.
Well, that's astrological haiku. You distilled it right down. Beautiful.
Yeah, it's such a, but it's so, I mean, we're living it, right? So it
Yes.
once you start looking at your own process, and that's what's so beautiful is this doesn't change what you're doing. It actually helps you understand what you're already doing.
Yes. Yes. Especially with the Mercury, it gives you insight. It gives you more conscious awareness,
Hmm.
so
Hmm.
that you're not just one foot in front of the other doing the process, during the day to day. You're actually looking at what you're doing. And in a way, the universe is not exactly forcing you, but issuing a strong invitation and saying, look here, be with yourself, come back to, all the things you focus on during the day, kids, family, business, whatever you've got, and come back to me, come back to self,
Hmm.
and looking out of your eyes and going, okay, what is it for me right now? What
Hmm.
is it for me today? What do I need to give credence to? What do I need to give maybe a second glance at? Maybe first glance isn't enough. Maybe second glance, that Mercury turning retrograde. What do I really need to look deeper at?
Hmm.
And what are my values and priorities? And yeah.
So, Jyoti, what I'm hearing, or at least I'm hoping I'm hearing, we've been through this stretch of time where we see a little bit, and then it closes up and gets very blurry, and we can barely see the next step for ourselves. But it sounds like this opportunity with Mercury, we might gain some more clarity about our own experience and our own needs.
Yes. Yes. I think that's the main gift of Mercury's cycle, which happens 3 times a year, that it gives humanity an opportunity to look more deeply, to look more consciously, because for a lot of people, things in the outside world just get really confusing and chaotic. And, like they used to say, checks get lost in the mail, you miss an important phone call, because the energies are to help people step inside
Mm.
and be more self-reflective at that time, and so that door of opportunity is there. And if you're not taking it and you're still dealing with all this stuff out here, it feels pretty chaotic.
Yeah. So actually that should be a sign to yourself that when the more chaotic it begins to feel, that should be a sign to go inwards.
Yes. And
Great.
to look and see what else is going on that you need to pay attention to, and let these pieces do their dance and fall where they may, let's say.
Oh, I love that. What else do you have for us?
Well, on the 24th, Mars is trining Pluto. It's, in my mind, it's a great day for harnessing energy and making something happen. It's a day of empowerment and strength. That Mars trine Pluto, things that at other times might have felt daunting, might have felt more difficult. It's like, hey, I can harness this energy. I feel empowered. I'm ready to go.
Wow, how much of a window do we get for that?
The day. You could feel it a little bit the day before, you could feel a little residue the day after, but the 24th is basically Mars trine Pluto. And it gives you that strength to you can harness that energy and actually do something with it and make changes in ways that at other times might have felt more difficult.
Okay. Thanks for
Okay.
the heads up
Yes.
about that.
Okay, and then the other thing I want to mention, well, two things. The planet Uranus is going to begin its station to turn retrograde. We'll have 6 planets retrograde by the end of the month, but then moving into September, Venus goes direct, then Mercury goes direct. So planets will, they're doing their thing while we're doing our thing, and trying to synchronize the movements,
Yeah.
the dance movements. So the planet Uranus is stationing the 23rd of August to the 4th of September, and turning retrograde on the 28th at 8:40 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time. And so the planet Uranus turns retrograde at this time every year, just like Pluto does, just like Neptune does. They all have their own cycles. And so, but that week of the 23rd of August to the 4th of September, that week, even though Mars is trining Pluto, as we said, even though, other things are going on, the planet Uranus, because it's what they call stationing, the same degree and minute every day that week, the 23rd of August to the 4th of September, it takes over. When a planet is stationing at birth or in the heavens, it becomes the strongest energy of the moment, of the time. And so we will be in the throes of the epitome of Uranus energy of change, of sometimes chaos, sometimes just needing to do things differently, throwing over the patterns, throwing over the way we've done things up until then. That week, we just need a lot of freedom, a lot of room to move, and a lot of inner listening for change.
Hmm.
For change. So it's a time where I would write in my astro updates, expect the unexpected that week. And that includes, I think, maybe Labor Day weekend. I'm not sure. I didn't look ahead that far. Um, it may include Labor Day weekend. It may before. It's when it begins its station and turns retrograde. It's before Labor Day weekend. So, but it will include Labor Day weekend till it's done its stationing on the 4th of September, because I think the 4th is Labor Day this year.
Right.
Yeah.
So expect change. Change can look like chaos. Doesn't
Yes.
always have to look like chaos, but
No, it doesn't always have to. It's just maybe you have plans for the last week, of August of the summer, let's say. Maybe you have plans and maybe you have things set in motion and all of a sudden you can't go. Or the place you were going to rent, let's say, burns down, or the trains stop running, or something happens, and you have to make a changed plan. You have to change your plans.
mhm. And
And it might not be that big. Sorry, it might not be that big.
will there be a gift in that change?
Oh yeah, there's always a gift in change.
Okay.
There's always the gift of seeing it differently,
Mhm.
suddenly wanting to do it differently, breaking a pattern of behavior that's old, and being willing to explore something new.
Wow. Wow. Cool.
And
Anything
so
else?
the last thing is just to mention, because we'll meet the day after, I think, that there is a second full moon. There was one on the 1st of August, and there's one on the 30th of August. And so that whenever there's the same type of moon phase in a calendar month, or could be in the sign, but this is in the calendar month of August. The second one is called a blue moon. And from just growing up, the expression, oh, things only happen once in a blue moon. So that's what you can kind of be open to. What else is there? What else might happen around that next full moon at the end of the month that is something very different for you or me or anyone? That it happens once in a blue moon. Let's use an example. Let's say your family never comes to visit, and all of a sudden they're on a plane and they're letting you know they're going to land soon, and they're there. It's something that doesn't happen in the day to day very often, and something that's very can be very expansive and very insightful and maybe pleasurable in some ways, but it's a blue moon.
Well, that actually happens in that span of Uranus stationing when we're already expecting the unexpected.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Good point.
So does that just increase the probability
I
of,
would say, yeah,
wow,
yeah, I would say, yeah, something different, something unexpected, something that maybe you hadn't quite planned for. Like an opportunity shows up and it's like, oh, I get to meet with this person. I haven't seen them in years, or, we've been Zooming or whatever. And, oh, they're coming to town quite unexpectedly. Let's meet for tea, you know?
lovely. Sounds like a lot to look forward to, Jyoti.
It is. It's a really full month. And the second half of August is very full. Even though we're at the new moon and the new cycle, it has a fullness to it. And also um, what would I call it? The like instigation of change.
Yeah. Yeah, it feels like a time like everything's up, not just work things, not just personal things, not but everything feels up for possible change or pivot.
Yes, yes. We're just at that point. I mean, we all, as I believe, chose to come in and be here at this time. And so, on some level, we're kind of ready. Maybe our ego isn't so happy, but we're all ready to implement a real group consciousness shift.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I say bring it on.
Well, there you go.
We'll see how we all fare when we gather up together 2 weeks from now.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Good luck.
Anything else you'd like to add, Jyoti?
Nope, that's it.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you for all your insights.
You're welcome. Thank you.